Are live and day one to everybody who is all in the house. I see there's already 5 of you, so we're going to shoot a very ambitious goal. Hold on. Can you guys hear me? How well can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? I want to see the first person to say yes, I can hear you. Otherwise, I got to shut this whole damn thing off because you guys clearly can't hear me. I'm not seeing any comments. I'm not seeing any comments. Sound like we. I'm not seeing any comments. I'm not seeing any comments. All right, so welcome. This is Derek Alfadaroma with the Medicine Shell. Today we are going to be discussing, well, your audio is weird. Okay, Game of Life, thank you. Hold on. How well can you hear me now? Diana, please correct me, eh? Every time I say your name, I either want to say Diana or Diana, and I think it's Diana. Diana, correct me. Which one is it? Is it A, Diana, or B, Diana? Audio is repeating over and over again. No, that's me. Diana. Okay, I'll do my Diana. A, okay, Diana. Okay, I'll do my Diana. Okay, I'll do my. I'll remember that. Nde everybody. I wanted to have some music, but it was confusing some people. You got to let it build though. Once we get to, did I say 20? Oh, let's do 15. Once we get to 15 people, I'll go ahead and get started. Once we get to 15 people, I'll go ahead and get started. Yes. All right, good job, kid. You're good. You should start going to bed though. Go brush your teeth. Well, once we get to 15 people, we're going to go ahead and begin. My name is Derek Alfadaroma with the Medicine Shell. I teach Igbo cosmology, spirituality, and ancestral thoughts known as Odinala. Some people know it as Odinani. Some people know it as Odinali. That's how we say it in my town. Some people know it as Odinani. All of those names mean the same thing. It is all just differences in dialects, which the Igbo language has many. Like I said, this is Derek Alfadaroma with Odinala. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, assuming this is something you're interested in. Hit the subscribe button, take the link. So can grab flute and add to it, he said. What you're hearing right now is Ogene. What you're hearing right now is Ogene. But yeah, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. We got 11 people in here and only 2 of them have hit like. I don't know what I did wrong to the 9 of you. I thought we were cool. I thought we were a family. I thought this was the movement. I thought we were a movement, but clearly hitting that like button is a problem. So let's go ahead and hit that like button. Show me something else. Hit that like button. We got 11 people, 5 have hit that like button. That means I still got a lot of enemies in this room. But my enemies shall not conquer. Naha Chineke, hit that like button. We got 9 people in the room, 6 have hit the like button. That means I got 3 enemies in the room. But my enemies shall not conquer. Naha Chineke. Hit the like button. All right, and the enemies are leaving. We got 1 enemy left, right? So whoever you are, hit that like button or be gone. My enemies cannot win. My enemies shall not conquer. Hit the like button. We are in the African New Year. I'm going to be explaining what that means, how we entered the African New Year. And honestly, it's something that every single person in here is familiar with, but you may not have known that you were familiar with it. So hit that like button. Okay. Hey. Ndewonu. This is also Ask Me Anything. So if you guys have any questions or topics you want to discuss, that would be great. We had a really good discussion this morning on patreon.com/The Medicine Shell. What we discussed was personality and the ezumezu, right? the relationship between your personality and your ism. We discuss concepts such as the equency, which is going to play a big role in the next video I post. So it's been a while since I posted a video. My editing laptop has been broken, but it is back. And it was interesting because the time it took for it to be fixed, which was a long ass time, gave me enough time to start thinking of some really interesting things I want to do on the channel. So the next video you guys see is going to be a little bit different. And yeah, so we need 3 more people to go ahead and get started. Take the link to this, post it to the group chat, post it on X, post it on TikTok, post it on Instagram, post it anywhere you know that our people are at. And I say our people as in those who are like mind, like spirit, like journey. Do. When giving kola nut to your ancestors, does the number of lobes matter? John Joyer, that is a very good question. I cannot answer any questions till we get 15 people in here. We got one more. If we can get one more person in here, we'll go ahead and begin. Oh. But John Joyer, that is a really good question. I'm probably going to start by answering your question before I even talk about the New Year stuff. Oh, if we get one more person in here, we're going to go ahead and say, it has happened. He said, let's go ahead and begin. Huh? Let's go ahead and begin. All right, y'all. I have Audrey in my hand. I'm going to go ahead and begin breaking the Audrey for everybody. Phoenix, welcome. He say. All right, so let us go ahead and begin. Okikekeroa. Alaboala. Ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ. Igwe bụ eluigwe. Ala bụ ala. Agụ na-edume ndị ije. Na mmiri na-enye ndụ. Ụmụ ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ. Ndị mgbu na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ. Ndị na-esoro anyị, ndị nwere aka ọcha. Ndị a ga-afụ ebe anyị na-aga. Ọwụ ọfọ na ogwu ka anyị ji aga. Ala bụ nne mmadụ niile. Ala anyị siri bịa, ala anyị si elo. Ụmụ gị abịala. Ọwụ ọjị ka anyị ji na-ekele gị. Ọwụ nwa gị. Derek Duru ọfọdụrụ nwa. Si aja na Hawọ mama na-ekwu. Nwa Emenaha na-ekwu. Nwa aja na Afrịka na-ekwu. Nwa aja na Igbo land na-ekwu. Ala Igbo na-ekwu. Werekwa ọjị otu ifuru ya, ọ bụ otu ọ dị. Ọwụ ọjị na-enye ndụ. Ọwụ ọjị na-enye uche. Ọwụ ọjị na-enye nkele maka ihe niile ị mere n'ụwa, ihe niile ị nyere n'ụwa, ihe niile ị bụ n'ụwa. Nne dị mma, na anyị si eto, na anyị si ama onwe anyị. Otu a ka ọ ga-adị na eke, na orie, na afọ, na nkwọ. Ise. All right. Ise. Let us go ahead and begin. So the first question that was asked was John Joyner. John, it's always good seeing you here. It's always good seeing you in general. I appreciate you for moving with the movement for as long as you have. So John asked, when giving kola to your ancestors, does the number of lobes matter? Okay. Yes and no. Okay. Yes and no. So the number of lobes matter because the number of lobes all communicate something different. They all represent and communicate something different. And if you have Igbo ancestors will not receive Oji, which is kola nut that is not ready to separate. Okay, that is not ready to separate. So if it's too young to separate, if it's still, you have to fight it to break it. They're not receiving it. Okay, this goes in principle of terminating something prematurely, ending something prematurely, not giving something a chance to grow and bloom and achieve awele in the world. Okay, so you'll see some Oji that for some reason have absolutely no divisions. We don't use this one. Okay, we don't use this one. As far as the kola with the lobes. The kola with 2 lobes is okay if you don't have an alternative. But because Iwaoji is an ancestral ceremony, the kola with 2 lobes is foreign to Igbo land. So it's not the one our ancestors used. From 3 lobes and up is great. It's perfect, right? 3 lobes and up is perfect. It's perfect. Okay. 4 is most preferred. 7, if you are able to find such a thing, is celebrated. Okay. If an orgy breaks into 7 pieces, everybody in attendance has to plan a celebration of that event. So if I came over to your house just to, I don't know, see how you were doing, and you brought orgy and it broke in 7 pieces, you and I have to plan a party, right? So there's some little things that go with orgy, but the most important thing with anything dealing with African spirituality is that approach it like play, have fun, right? So it's not a matter of if you brought the wrong type of orgy, then you're gonna go to like the African hell or whatever, right? That's not how it happens. But the number of lobes matter, but to an extent. Now, if you bring one with 2 lobes, it's not a big deal. That's more than fine. That's more than fine. I've seen somebody do iwaji with a rock. We went to the person's house. They didn't have orgy, and so his wife ran outside and grabbed the rock, and we all started laughing. And then he said that because that we don't have orgy, so I give you. Yeah, we're gonna use this for orgy today, and everybody said, it's okay, right?" And it was funny. Everybody's having fun, right? Oftentimes, when I'm presenting these things, I've noticed that, I smile a lot, I laugh a lot, right? Because it was given to me in jest. It was given to me, like very casual and playfully. And so, because I grew up with it being this way, I never thought to think about it in depth or with detail, right? Because just by being conditioned in the West, things that are worthy of going in depth tend to be serious, right? But that's not how our ancestors operated. So have fun with it, right? Don't, did I bring the wrong? It doesn't, just bring something. You can bring water, you can bring whatever, right? The word Aji is like what holds us together, the thing that holds us together, right? Food is Aji, right? What else? Anything that gives life. Water is Aji. I don't know why that lady brought the rock with her one day, but it was funny. But so maybe the humor, the funniness is Aji, right? It's a symbol. It's a symbol. So have fun with the symbols. In my next video, I'm actually going to discuss the making of um, what you would call an effigy, like how to make what is that all about, right? So most famously in the US is like the voodoo doll, but I'm going to teach you how to use one that is more medicinal and that can actually do something beneficial for you. It's something I'm going to be discussing in the next video, and then I'll post a how-to on Patreon. So if you want to kind of be ahead of time or ahead of the curve, join the Patreon, patreon.com/the medicine shell. I post exclusives there, and one of the exclusives I'm going to be posting this next week is how to make something that you can use to channel a spirit, especially a spirit that afflicts you personally. Okay. The particular spirit I'm going to be discussing is the spirit that is linked to self-sabotage. Self-sabotage. So if you're interested, that video is coming out this week, or the exclusive part of it is coming out on patreon.com/the medicine shell this week. Go ahead and join whenever you get a chance. I rebuke you. Ekwensu gbawo gị anụ ọfịa. Atụrụ egburu egbu. Thunder gbawo anụ ọfịa dịka gị. Uchu. Thank you for letting me know. This is helpful for connecting my ancestors, refining my practices. Ademma, ademma. And then over time, it's just a matter of refinement. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Ademma, wonderful. David said my feet. Phoenix, let David say what he wants to say. It's okay. It's okay. Let David say what he wants to say. Ademma. So this is Ask Me Anything with me, Derek father-in-law. So if you guys have questions, keep them coming. If the questions run out, then I run out. If you guys just have things you want to discuss, things you want to go over, random things that pop up throughout the day, I get asked about random things, and I'm okay with that. I am okay. I unhit. It's okay. It's okay. Sometimes it's good for people to see what is in the heart of the people who come against you. Sometimes it's good for people to see what is in the heart of the people who come against you. That's how they got the civil rights bill passed, right? The strategy was, I'm just going to do some normal stuff and we're going to show everybody who these people are. So let's see what David has to say, okay? I'll do them. I'm often wondering if I'm doing this correctly. Yeah, everybody gets caught up on, am I doing this correctly? And I think that comes from all of us feeling, and I mean all of us, feeling a degree of separation from our ancestors, right? But I don't know how else to say this, but our ancestors are black, right? And we're not just by principle, right? You know, we're not like Nazis or anything like that, right? We're not super rigid about certain things, okay? And this is, I say we're not because I've met people on the continent, I've met people in the US, I've met people from the UK, I've met people in the Caribbean, I've met people from South America. It's the same thing everywhere, right? It's the same thing everywhere. So when it comes to ancestral spiritual, have fun, have fun, have fun, have fun. There's no, you're gonna do it wrong. You're gonna do it wrong until you do it right. Okay, and then the difference between doing it and wrong and doing it right is not as extreme as you think. Think about it like art. It is art. It occupies the same place. Our spirituality is an art form. It's art. It's not a doctrine. It is an art. That, boom. You guys are gonna hear me say that a lot. You guys are gonna hear me say that a lot. African spirituality, Odinala, is not a doctrine. It is an art. Okay, so you can get better over time at doing your art, but ultimately there's no right or wrong way to do it. You let out what you're feeling on the inside. Adema, Adema. Can you elaborate on the African New Year? Yes, absolutely. So one thing you will notice that's going on right now, it is happening on the continent. It is happening in South America. It is happening in the very, very black parts of the United States. There is some sort of African origin celebration going on. In the Caribbean and in South America, you're seeing various countries do their carnival, right? I want to say we are in Mardi Gras. We should be in Mardi Gras season. I have not looked at a calendar in a long ass time, but we are in Mardi Gras season, right? For people in like New Orleans. In my own community, we are dancing Owu and Mau. Owu na Mau, right? Mau is this big mountain-looking masquerade. Every masquerade gets called Mau for those who speak Igbo. Every masquerade gets called Mau, but that's it's actually just that masquerade. That's Mau. The Mau has no other name but Mau, right? But it's this big yellow or raffia mountain, and it like shakes, 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 and it slams the earth and that kind of thing. And then we're also dancing Owu, which is the water spirit and her masquerades and that kind of thing. So everywhere you see there's some type of celebration going on. It's a festive celebration. A lot of masks are being worn, a lot of pageantry and that kind of thing. So what is actually going on, right? What is actually going on? We are in the African New Year is what I'll call it, right? So people often ask me like, about the moons, the different moons. Our ancestors use a lunar calendar. And as a part of that lunar calendar, we also have a specific way of approaching that lunar calendar. The first moon of the year is not counted. Okay. The first moon, I'm talking from the Igbo tradition, but the fact that I'm seeing this everywhere tells me that it's not exclusively Igbo, right? The first moon is not counted because all things have to appear in twos before they are counted as one. So if I were born and I just had half a face, you would know I was incomplete, right? I was something. If it was just half of me that came a sliver like a Xerox that came out of my mother, you would know that something's off. This is incomplete, right? Completion happens when something appears in twos. In Igbo cosmology, we express this through our understanding of the creator, which is Chineke, the divine couple that you can call your God, right? The God, but really like your parents, the parents of creation, right? Alanigwe or Fonogun, Madu, the person, and Mo, spirit. Those two things have to come together for one thing to be whole. All things have what they are and what observes it, and those two things make something whole. So even in our acknowledgement of the calendar, right? the first moon is not celebrated. The second moon tells us that, okay, we officially have started the year, right? The first moon coming by itself, who knows? Maybe this is just a fluke. Maybe this is just some type of strange spirit, that kind of thing, right? But when the two moons come together, when you get two moons, then we are complete. We have 2 feet, we have 2 hands, we have two sides of the face, we have person and spirit. So throughout Africa, you will see celebrations, especially with the planter cultures, right? Cultures that farm. You will start seeing celebrations on the second moon. On the second moon. You will see celebrations on the second moon in New Orleans. You'll see a celebration in Brazil on the second moon. You will see Trinidad, Tobago, all throughout the Caribbean, maybe Jamaica. And then if you're Haitian, let me know if you guys do something during this moon or during March, right? During March. So this is the second moon, right? This is the second moon. This is the moon you celebrate. This is the moon that says that this year has officially begun. So this is technically the African New Year, though we African people, we don't technically call it that. But I've looked at this thing for long enough to understand that this is actually our new year, right? Now each culture has a different name. In my place, it's O, right? It's O Namon, O Namon. In Brazil, it's Carnival. Over here, it's Mardi Gras. Over here, it's that kind of thing. So I think they're doing something in Ghana right now. They're doing something in the Yoruba. A lot of different Yoruba cultures are doing something right now. And I'm sure if I look at Togo, Benin, the rest of them, they're all doing something. So that is why we are in the new year. All right, let us go ahead and begin. Uh-oh. Hey, my kid's crying. Give me just a second, okay? Yeah. Hey, Kaba. What's wrong? What's wrong? All right, I need to shower. I'm coming, Mama. All right, guys, thanks for your patience. I was told that the real streamers walk off the camera all the time, so I'm a little more comfortable doing that. Or let me not say the real ones, the heavy hitters, right? Sometimes I get frustrated because I feel like I'm doing my reach. Okay, because sometimes I get frustrated because I don't feel like doing my rituals, but I don't think it should be forced. Thank you, Monica. Do you suggest skipping if you're not in the right mood? Yeah, absolutely. 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 Monica, I skip all the time. And I use my skip. In fact, if I don't feel like doing it, I know something's wrong internally, right? And then I give it some time. Maybe I'm sick the next day. I give it some time. Maybe I figure out that something's stressing me more than I thought it was. I give it some time. Yeah, Bachuzo. Uma, take your kids up. So I give it some time. I figure out something's going. So my desire to do anything pertaining to my own practice, my to Odinala, is a gauge of my own personal, emotional, spiritual health. I use that. That's a gauge for me, right? If I don't go, I notice that when I don't go in a long time, I also don't want to clean. So my workspace gets messier, right? Right now, I'm not going to present this to you guys. It's not in a good place. You understand? And right now, for me, my schedule is super loaded up, and I'm trying to find ways to refine it. But in the process of finding it, the reason I'm trying to solve that problem is because I got to the point where I didn't feel like doing anything, right? So, excuse me. So yeah, Monica, don't. It's not by force because when you go to your ancestors, you're greeting them. You're greeting them. Sometimes you don't feel like greeting somebody. I don't want to talk to anybody today. I'm staying in. I'm taking a nap today. I'm being indoors today. It's not by nothing is by force. Imagine an artist thinking, well, I guess now with the economic system we're in, a lot of artists are kind of forced to do output. But most artists will tell you that their art comes from the internal want to do it rather than being pushed. You understand? So no, it's not by force, and so forth. I think this is one of the things that helps people. One of the paradigm shifts that helps people shift away from like giving this too much of a religious way of thinking. It's really if you want to do it. And again, I use my want to do it to gauge my own health. You understand? It becomes a health thing for me. I think our ancestors have some grace for. Of course, of course. I read that the Almighty Chuku is not shined or given offerings. Yeah, you don't give Chuku offerings. We don't give offerings to Chuku. Our ancestors didn't really do too much focusing on Chuku. You understand? They didn't do too much focusing on Chuku. But Chuku doesn't take offer. You don't give Chuku offerings. You don't bargain with Chuku. You don't negotiate with Chuku. There's nothing going on there as far as that goes. Chuku's will is Chuku's will. There's no two ways about it. It's not going to change. It's already been done, right? It's already been done. It's like right now, if I take hold on. So this book, I like it a lot. I actually had a chance to meet the author like twice now. I wouldn't say we're friends, but we talk. But this book right here, right? I can't go to him and start like let's say I'm on this page right now. I can't look at it and be like, no, 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 I don't like that. I can't run back to him and start arguing. Like, hey, you need to hurry up, change it, change it, change it. Please change it, please. It's done. It's done. So Chuku's will is Chuku's will. What Chuku has said will be, will be. There's no two ways about it, right? When you do offerings and things like that, one, it's to show appreciation, but two, sometimes it's a matter of like negotiating and that kind of thing. And we don't do that as far as Chuku. You just give Chuku acknowledgments and you keep it pushing, that kind of thing, right? You give Chuku acknowledgments and you keep it pushing. Now, everything else under Chuku, to an extent, you give offerings. Most of the male Abara, they don't take offerings or they take very small offerings. Or if they do take offerings, it's like once a year, right? Like you don't give offerings to Amadioha. But there is a time of the year, like in the beginning, like the new year, right? Beginning of the year, you can offer a ram, right? You can offer a ram at the beginning of the year, but if you don't, it doesn't change anything. It's just like appreciation. Whereas with a lot of the female Amara, right? Something needs to be given in order for something to be received, right? Just like human women. Just like human women. Something needs to be given for something to be received. Things are done in a matter of exchange, right? So when you see offerings and so on and so forth, it's usually towards a mother, and that kind of thing. If I skip, should I feel guilty or no? No, you should never feel guilty. I think Monica already elaborated that. Do not feel guilty. Your altar is not like a thing that has power over you. Okay, your ancestors are not a thing that have power over you. You understand? They're your family. Your altar is like a telephone you use to call your family. Okay, sometimes you're not in the mood. Sometimes you're not in the mood, and that's fine, right? Again, I use my willingness to do my igofo, which is my morning greeting of my ancestors. I use that to gauge my own health. So I usually know that if I'm not doing it or I don't feel like doing it, something's off. Something's off. And that tells me something's off usually a day or two before I know what it is. Okay? So I'll do my Keduki man, Derek. Hey, by the way, guys, so I've been gradually adopting my Igbo name. So we are going by Duru, okay? Duru. I've been gradually adopting my Igbo name, Duru. Duru. We're gonna take this name for a spin. Growing up, absolutely nobody called me Duru, so it just didn't feel like my name, but we're ready for it now. So, but Ọdịmma. So, kedu ka ị mere Duru? Ndị be gị kwanụ ha dị mma Angel ka ị dị ahụ ọ dị gị mma ezinụlọ gị nkọ adịmma ọdịmma jishike nwanne jishike. Can you talk about the different ways to connect with and honor your ancestors? Absolutely, absolutely. And we can go into a 10-year dialogue on how to do this, okay? Different ways to connect with your ancestors, okay? There's something I said earlier in this live that I want you guys to remember because it's low-key a bar, right? And what it is that Udinala is an art. It is not a doctrine. It is an art. It is not a doctrine, okay? So, the main ways that you will see people connect with their ancestors is first and foremost knowing their names and calling their names and greeting them in the morning. Greeting them maybe when they can. Sometimes some people have a hard time waking up, right? Greeting them in the morning. That's another way I gauge too. I usually wake up as the sun is rising, and that is the time you're supposed to greet your ancestors. Now, if I'm not waking up naturally as the sun is rising, which is hard to do now because I drop my kids off or my son off in school, right? Then I know something's wrong, something's off. But knowing their names, one, greeting them is it's the most powerful thing from my perspective you can do. So and so, good morning. 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 Use the language your ancestors spoke. Some of you, many of you, come from a mixed heritage of languages, okay? It wouldn't hurt to learn those languages. It'll only make you stronger. It'll only connect you further. It'll only make you wiser. It'll only make you or help you understand yourself even more. Even more. Okay? So greet them in their languages. I had somebody who was Jamaican. I told him that he has to greet his ancestors in patois. He started laughing. I'm like, bro, I'm dead serious. He spoke with a strong British accent, and his dad was the only one that lived in the UK. The rest lived in Jamaica. I'm like, you gotta sound like you're from the yard when you greet your ancestors. Okay, so you greet your ancestors in their language. That is one way of connecting to your ancestors. Another way of connecting to your ancestors is to know their story. Know their story, know who they were, how they lived, what they were all about, that kind of thing. What things did they eat? What things did they like to drink? What things did they like to smoke? In the Cuban tradition, you see Santeria, Candomblé, I think is the name, and those ones. You'll see a lot of cigars being used. They use a lot of cigars, right? Well, you know the history of Cuba and tobacco and cigars and so forth, right? This means that those ancestors that they're referring to smoked cigars. It's as simple as that. In the Haitian tradition, they have a loa known as the Igbo loa. And what's said is that it eats separate from everybody else. So when everybody's eating, the Igbo loa has to eat separate. And most people don't know what it eats, so they don't bother with it, right? Now, as an Igbo person, I can tell you that Igbo loa is an nze. It's an nze, right? And it eats kola nuts. You have to give it kola nuts. The reason it eats separate is because the name nze means set apart. Set apart. Something that is hidden from the rest, okay? Same thing as ozo, right? Referencing back, if you guys have watched one of my first videos, which was about Odachi Nebere, the origin story of the creator in Igbo cosmology, you will remember that Chuku goes into hiding and comes out and goes into hiding. So the Nze, Eze, Ozo, all those names refer to something that separates from everything else and goes into hiding. And when you meet a titled man, like a real titled man, they got church titles now, so that's not, but when you meet a real titled man, you'll see that that person can't eat with regular people. They can only eat with other titled men. So know what your ancestors ate, what clothes they like to wear, what music did they listen to, what things did they participate in, what traditions did they take part in, right? And embody it. I have people in our Patreon community who do ancestral dances. Some of the ancestral dances are as simple as dances that were big in North Carolina in the 1940s. Some of them do more. There's somebody on our Patreon who has literally created a masquerade with stilts and everything like that, right? It's limitless. Again, it's an art. The ancestral connection is an art. It is not a doctrine. I can give you the ingredients. I can give you crayons, markers, colored pencils, and all these different things that you can use. But it's up to you to decide how you use them. Okay. So know your ancestors. Use their names. Present the things that they touched and they dealt with in their life, that they loved, that gave them life. Okay, you'll see a lot of altars that have some pretty funny things on there, right? You'll see, again, cigars, you'll see different alcoholic drinks. I had this good friend who, he it was told that he was going to inherit this box, and so he opened the box and he saw it was a bunch of like alcohol bottles, and they were full, like untouched alcohol bottles, mint condition from like 1910, the 1900s, 1910, 1900s. And he looked it up and he saw that these things could go for hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, in the condition that they were in. And they said it was told that he was going to inherit this box. And after studying Odinala and learning about Odinala and learning what's this box about, he learned that these were the drinks your ancestors drank. These are the drinks your ancestors liked. Your ancestors liked foreign drinks, right? They and so forth. And so in connecting to them, those foreign drinks are going to be important. What he was given was a microchip. It is a program, right? And then he understood that he needs to make sure this doesn't get sold and he needs to pass it on to the next person, which may be his son or so forth. Okay. So those things are important. It's not just a matter of saying the ancestors. I see a lot of people the ancestoring their ass all over social media. That's okay, cool, but you should have some specific names, right? And we can all get specific names. We can all get specific names. Once you get specific names, get some stories. It's not a matter of looking for fantastical stories or oh man, this one was the first one to do this first thing. Just if your ancestor is a regular degular ass person, you need to get their regular degular story. If they were a horrible person, you need to get their horrible ass story. Okay, all of that, because all of that is your story. You are a page in a book, and those were the pages that came before you. And in order for you to understand what is on your page, you have to read what came before it. And the more you read what came before, the more you understand what is on your page and where this story is going. Okay? So, just trying to think of different ways to connect to ancestors, right? Doing as your ancestors did, speaking as your ancestors spoke, living as your ancestors lived, and then giving them their acknowledgments, calling them, communicating them with them. Uh, do not let death be the end of family. In the African worldview, death, family supersedes death. So even if my father, mother, whoever has passed, they're still my mother, my father, and whatever acknowledgments I give them in life, I have to give them in death. Okay, that is how that's something. And then one of my favorite ways of connecting to my ancestors is doing their will on earth. Is doing their will on earth. Okay, so I know what my ancestors wanted to do because I know their story. I know what was important to them because I know their stories. And because I understand that it is a personal mission. I don't even say I must do these things with it, just naturally more my spirit guides me to do it. Okay? So understanding the will of your ancestors on earth. You hear people say this, our ancestors didn't die for this. Our ancestors didn't go through XYZ for this, that kind of thing, so on and so forth, right? Doing their will on earth. I have and this is another way that more spirit affects people. But I always use the story of my sister. My sister had a good friend when we lived in Nigeria. She had this really good friend, and her friend passed away maybe 8 years ago. Okay, 7 or 8 years ago. Um, we were fortunate to come to America and have a much easier life and so forth. And so things were harder for her friend back home, even though in the beginning they were going to the same class together, going to the same school, and that kind of thing. So when she passed away, my sister began to pay for the education of her children. Okay. My sister began to pay for the education of her children. One of the things that allows your ancestors, your friends, the people you lose to rest easy is knowing that their will continue with the people who love them and they loved after they pass. Okay, it is easier. Well, the journey, the journey of life is a big part of it. Is this idea of death and approaching death and learning to respect death and appreciate death and embrace death as the next phase of your aging, the way you embrace your hair turning colors, and so forth. I can't speak too much on wrinkles because your boy is out here. Right. But when they show up, right, I'll embrace them. You understand? And the reason death is embraced like all other aspects of aging is because it is another aspect of aging. But as a community, we make it easier for our people and for the people we care about to embrace those phases of existence, right? And which one of them is in existence, right? So when your mother starts getting them little crow's feet, you don't, ha ha ha, you don't do that to her, right? You allow her to, oh, okay, you know what, kind of thing. Oh, you're looking great. And like just had a conversation with, well, my daughter had a conversation with the girl. She took my phone and just started calling everybody she could, right? And so, my grandmother, my grandmother, my mother-in-law, she was looking great. She had her makeup on, her hair, everything like that. I'm like, oh, mommy, are you going somewhere? You look good. This and this and this and that. We do that because we're a community. We make it easier. We make it. We feel, even though I didn't need to, she looked great. That kind of thing, right? That allows people to move into aging. It eases. It's the role community plays that allows people to move into it. As somebody gets older, you start paying them more respects, right? In my own culture, as somebody gets older, you begin to call them like somebody who's 4 years younger than me is not going to call me Du. They're going to call me De. De is like elder, right? De. So and so and so. De. Maybe if they're more Americanized, they'll call me uncle or sir, right? But De is what they'll call me. You understand? And that's part of my age. I think that's why. I mean, it's changing because American culture is designed to spread and be. Yes, please, please. Okay, ask your mom. What? American culture is designed to spread and be taken in by as many people as possible, right? And because American culture has this particular structure, it just spreads like wildfire. So, like now, back home, unfortunately, people are getting self conscious about aging, which I think is very tragic. But I know where it's coming from, and it's from America, right? Hey, people, oh, hairline, oh, I don't want to do that, right? But if your hairline starts fading out, people start respecting you a little bit more back home, right? This person's put in work in this thing we call life. So what about dying? How do we make it easier for people to pass away, to embrace that thing? We do their will even after they pass. So that if they had children, don't worry, we got you. Your kids will be taken care of. Okay? If they had some, maybe they wanted to maybe they were an activist. Don't worry, even after you pass, we're gonna keep the torch going. Right? We're gonna keep the torch going. I think one of the scary things about death is that your will may go with you. So as community, when you have community, community does your will for you. So the same thing with your ancestors. What was their will on earth? What did they want to see done? Right? I know they didn't want to see their family fighting. So perhaps you can be the one that unites the family. I know they didn't want to see you doing badly, right? I know they wanted you to finish that degree. I know they wanted you to go find a husband, right? People always talk about their female ancestors. They're like, yo, yeah, I'll tell you exactly what they want you to do. Right? That kind of thing. And you actualize that will, right? So you're living for you, but you're also living for your family, living and deceased. You understand? That's how you connect to your ancestors. Many ways to do it. Many. It's an art. It's an art. So I have a video called Ritual Explained. You can take the ingredients that I gave on the Ritual Explained video and form your own ritual and use it to as a way of connecting to your ancestors. But like, try not to over mystify it because it is very literal. Everything I'm saying is concrete and as to the ground as you can, more to the ground than you can imagine. Right? Connecting to your ancestors is very literally connecting to your ancestors. Do what you got to do. Okay, I'll never mind. Are there aspects that I told you guys I can talk for 10 years about connecting to ancestors, by the way? So there it was. Are there aspects in the spiritual realm that are not so much as bad, but bad relative to you, i.e., An aggressive, poisonous animal. Yeah, you have the discernment. Your discernment is not incorrect. If something's bad to you, it's bad. If something's good to you, it's good. Okay. So an aggressive, poisonous animal, yeah, I don't want no business with aggressive, poisonous animals either. Right? Now, maybe in your culture, oh, this animal is something special, but keep this shit away from me. That's okay. It's okay. Where I'm from, the python is sacred, right? The python is sacred. The python is special. The river python specifically. Eken Jaba. Why am I calling it river Jaba? Okay, yeah, so you guys know what I'm talking about. Eken Jaba is sacred. So if Eken Jaba comes to your home, it's a python. If it comes to your home, you're gonna offer it cola. You're gonna offer it food like you'd offer any guest. You're gonna offer it water, right? If you see it on the street, you'd greet it the way you'd greet an elder. Diana Mekelini, right? That kind of thing. If you accidentally kill one, and hopefully not on purpose, but if you accidentally kill one, you have to give it a funeral. That means dig a like a grave, you give it its respects, bury it. Right? That's what it means to us. That's what Ikenjaba means to us where I'm from. But 9 out of 10 people are horrified of it scares the shit out of them. It's scary. It's a python, right? It's a python that's like this thick, right? Just it's a python that's this thick and long as hell. 9 out of 10 people are scared as hell of that thing. Whenever Ikenjaba appears, of course, we don't kill it and so on and so forth. There's always people in the family who have the courage to give it a stick. What you do is you give it a stick, and if it wants to leave, it'll wrap itself around that stick, and then you'll carry it back to where it came from, right? Which is the Njaba shrine, that kind of thing. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't mean that you have to just like pretend you love it because you don't. If you feel the way you feel about it for a reason, it's okay, right? It's not that bad, right? um yeah, some of them things are scary. So aspects of spiritual realm that is not as bad as relative to you. So relative to you, it can be scary even though it's considered good by your culture one way or another. That's fine. It's not a big deal. Or there's also perspective, right? A lot of these things, like when we talk about AMAA, when we talk about all these different things, sometimes you have a problem with them. Sometimes they have a problem with you. I hesitate to do that because some of y'all be getting on the paranoid side, right? I want to be paranoid, ask questions. Please, guys, I need rest. Right? Sometimes you can have conflicts. Sometimes there's disturbances. It's okay. It's just like a community. It's just like a community, right? Like a cul-de-sac of things. So like maybe one of your neighbors, when they take their trash out, they leave little pieces of trash, a trail of pieces of trash, and that shit's pissing you off. It's okay. It's normal. You don't have to pretend. It's that kind of thing. Maybe one of your neighbors plays loud ass music. No Denani. Do written words have more power than spoken words or reverse? No. Everything is as powerful as the power you give it. Some things have inherent power, of course, but there's nothing to say that written words have more power. I think that's like a Western thing, if anything, right? The idea of like citing your sources, which is good. It's not a bad thing, but like sometimes it gets funny where it's like a person will say something and then they'll be like, another person wrote it down, and they're like, oh, okay, all right. No, so we're like, oh, this and this and that. Really? I don't believe you. No, no, a person wrote it down. Okay. You know, you and I make an agreement. Okay, fine. Let's write down the agreement on paper. Okay, good. Yeah, that's a Western thing. So it doesn't mean that the Westerners are wrong in their thing. In their context, written words are more powerful than spoken words in their context, right? But it's not inherent that one is more powerful than the other. It's what type of power and meaning you infused into the thing. So where can I research the African calendar? Michael, so I'll give you two places. Okay, the one I was going to give you was in Igbo language. So there's a woman by the name of Ngozi Chukwuka. She put videos together to really break down the calendar and their meanings. It is all in Igbo. So good luck if you don't speak Igbo. if you want to learn the Igbo language, we have an Igbo language school at www.kedu.me. We are about to start signing up for the summer classes. Would it be summer or spring? The next set of classes. We're currently in session right now. There's 12 seats per class. So if you're interested, go to kedu.me and sign up, or message me to reserve you a seat and that kind of thing. Another place you can check out the calendar is so if you're a patron on Patreon, I link your email address to the calendar, so it naturally just appears on your calendar on Google. So it has the 4 market days. So in the Igbo calendar, the week is 4 days. Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo. We don't do 7 days, we do 4. Okay? Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo. And then with those 4 days, you have 13 moons, right? 13 moons. Right now we're in Onwa Abo, the moon of twos. And then I think I do have resources in our library on Dropbox. But two out of the 3 options I gave you have a price tag. So if you want to research for free, just research Igbo calendar, Google Igbo calendar, and you'll find stuff, right? You'll find stuff on it. The Igbo calendar is used, though Nigerians are very prideful, so they'll never say that their calendar is the Igbo calendar, but the Igbo calendar is used by just about everybody in southern Nigeria. And then some of them that don't, like for example, the Yoruba use a 7-day calendar, but their original calendar had 4 days. The 7-day calendar came with like I think Islam, that kind of thing. So I'll do my the real streamers here. Oh yeah. No, I had to correct myself. Nah, I'm the realist. You're such a loving dad, prayerful, the babe as well. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you, Diana. I appreciate you. Dhamma. Family first, take your time. I'll Dhamma. Yeah, I know you guys understand. Yes, I hope the baby is okay. Yeah, it was my son. He was looking for reasons not to take a shower and go to bed. We are 3 hours after his bedtime, and that kind of thing. My boy Anthony, passport bro visuals. Let's go. Do you talk about other countries, gods in Africa? Anthony, if you're curious, yeah, I do. So if you're curious, go ahead and ask, and I can share as much as I know. But as I'm sharing, I'll probably refer you to the resources for those cultures and countries, because that's not my expertise. I will tell you this: if you want to understand African spirituality, especially I'll say the planter cultures in Africa, but really like the black ones, we're all basically saying the same thing, right? We're all saying the same thing. If you understand one, it'll help your ability to understand another. So if you are really well versed in Udinani, and then you take a look at Ifa, you will move through that thing very fast. You'll understand, oh, that's that. Okay, I get this, I get that. Okay, I see why that happens, that kind of thing. Right? The Haitian voodoo, uh, the Congo cosmogram, that kind of thing, right? And I'm telling you about the 4 market days. Eke, Uri, Afo, Nkwo. Congo cosmogram has 4 parts, 4 colors. Those 4 colors are also the colors that are used in Odinani. Those 4 colors in Congo have similar parallel meanings as what's going on in Odinani. In Congo, they have Ekbe society. Over here, we have Ekbe society. One is a good gateway to another, and I would say Odinani, the Igbo one, is the best gateway. But if you're curious about other cultures, ask, and if I don't know, I'll say I don't know. If I do know, I'll answer you and try to point you to some resources. Odemma. John says, "What is the name of the book?" I think the book I held up just now was Never to be Found Again. The book I held up just now was The Fisherman. I have 2 copies, so let me see if I can. Oh, there it is. Yeah. The book I held up was. Here's my second copy. So this one got signed, and then my son tore the page. So I met with him again, and he gave me another one. I think he signed this one too. No, this one's not signed. Yeah, so it's called The Fisherman. Right? It's got the little map he drew in here. This is about, The Fisherman is about, hold on, 3 brothers. There are 3 brothers. They're Igbo, but they grow up in Yoruba land, and there's kind of like there's a prophecy that happens, and it's interesting. But if you want one of his books that's very Odinani strong, I would recommend Chigoze Obioma, An Orchestra of Minorities. This book is a great way to see, like all these things we're talking about in Nodinani. This book is a great way to see it in action. So in this book, there's a young man. I can't remember his name. I haven't finished the book, but there's a young man. He gets he goes to Cyprus, like he's trying to leave Nigeria to like do his thing, right? To Japa, as Nigerians call it, and he gets tricked into going into Cyprus, the country Cyprus, and basically like against his will. And there's a lot of like immigrants that get tricked into going to these weird places, Ukraine, Cyprus. And then when you get there, they'll take your passport, and then they'll just try to abuse you. And so he's trying to find his way back home, and his chi is his guide. So his chi is like his chi is speaking to the Albara on his behalf. His chi is almost like a lawyer that's kind of like keeping him safe as he's moving through these different problems and that kind, causing problems and that kind of thing. And then his chi is like looking out for him, intervening for him, is speaking like his lawyer and that kind of thing. So it's a really good imagining of Odinade and the relationship between a person and their chi, and the chi with the rest of the elements. There's an ilu, and this one is going to make people scratch their head, but it says that when people gather to conspire against you, your chi is in attendance. When people conspire against you, your chi is in attendance. So this book illustrates it very, very well. Hey, what do you do about the concept of a bad death? Nice. Why do some people not entitled to the same burial rights when they die tragically? Yeah. So the way what a burial is in the Igbo tradition, and I'm going to say the African tradition, I'm actually going to say the human tradition because it all came from Africa, right? But what burial is in the Igbo tradition is almost like you're planting a seed. Okay, you're planting a seed. And in order to, and the purpose of planting a seed is for that seed to return. Now, for a lot of cultures that have maybe left Africa, right, that have left Africa, or they go to like different parts of Africa, and maybe they lose the meaning of the burial, they still do burials, right? Everybody still does a burial. And, you listen to like uh, Caucasian historians and anthropologists, which, by the way, I don't take seriously because in the West you can be considered an expert on culture without knowing a single thing about Africa. And so that tells me that this is not a group of people I should be taking seriously, right? So they'll tell you that burials are to hide the body from animals, and that's a bunch of bullshit. The origin of the burial is to replant the person so that they will return. That's what a burial is. Now, there are some deaths that you don't want to return because you don't want it to happen again and again and again. Okay? So, where I am from, when self unaliving, if a person self unalives, it's tragic, but the person doesn't get buried. They're wrapped in a shroud and put in the atrophia and that kind of thing. They don't get buried, or they'll have like a very quiet funeral. Okay? In my own lifetime, I've seen this happen twice. We had this wave about 4 years ago of Guzoro, of Guzoro, right? Which people outside of my village call Urumiri, which is meth. Meth. Some people decided to start selling meth in Africa, which was insane. And some young people got into it. And one young man passed away from an overdose. And the community decided that they were going to bring back this non-burial tradition because we don't want to continue to keep this thing returning into the community, right? And so that's how they dealt with that. He was shrouded and put away. The other one was a person sold the offal of another family. He went to Onitsha to sell the offal to foreigners, and he died in his hotel room in the process of doing it. Okay. Now, because it was obvious to us that this death was was spiritual, he wasn't buried in the normal way, and he had like a tiny little funeral and that kind of thing, right? Um, so yeah, it's a tradition that for a long time had died out, but it's come back. It's back now. People, at least in my community, a lot of people. Another one, uh, uh, he got it was actually my cousin got into like really fanatical into the church. And so to show the power of Jesus, he was gonna go, he like would just start killing pythons, killing Ikenjaba. So he just would go and kill Ikenjaba to show that Jesus was stronger than the gods, you know, that's what Christians do. And he ended up getting this like liver situation. Something happened to his liver within like the past 2 years. Took him to every hospital imaginable. Couldn't Nothing can be done. You know, a lot of my cousins spent a lot of money trying to keep him alive. A lot of people refused to spend money because they're like, ah, no, this is from that thing that he did. And when he passed, I didn't ask, but I don't think there was I don't recall seeing a funeral poster, right? So, and it was my cousin. We grew up together. He I used to think he was the coolest person on planet Earth because we were playing this game one time where it was like a baton, like you run around, you take the baton and run around, and he jumped over my sister. And for some reason, when I was 7 years old, I thought people who can jump high were the coolest people on earth. So I thought this guy was sick. And I would just tell him, okay, jump over this. And he'd be like, nah, nah, nah. Later on, I figured out that he pushed off her shoulders, but I didn't see that kind of thing. But yeah, so you do it for the community. Like we don't want to keep this thing going, right? And that kind of thing. At the same time, when people self unalive, they're also making the statement that I don't want to return, right? I'm leaving and I'm not coming back to this. So if you look at the book Things Fall Apart, at the end of Things Fall Apart, the main character goes, okay, if you guys are like church people now, you guys are into this thing now, okay, watch this. And then he hangs himself, or self unalives, and then nobody wants to take him down. Like nobody wants to take his body down from the tree. And he was doing it for two reasons. One, because he saw where the world was going as far as his community, and he didn't want to take part. He was done. He doesn't want to come back to that, right? And then two, to show those people that at their core, you're African. You're an African person, and you know what the hell this means, right? So it's like a protest, like when then Buddhists set themselves on fire, that kind of thing. Uh, but you don't see that interpretation too often. But I think you have to understand Odinala to understand the full scope of what was happening in that scene. It's a super powerful scene. So Odinma. Uh, amam na ihe na-efe na-achọ ọlaọcha na ọlaedo ọ eziokwu dịka ụmụ nwanyị dị ndụ dịka ụmụ nwanyị dị ndụ. Um, what does adimma mean? Oh, adimma. O space Dimma. Those of you who are in Kedu, those of you who are currently in our Igbo language class in Kedu, can you guys answer what does adimma mean? Adimma mean. I'm gonna give it 5 seconds. I'll count in Igbo. Otu, abo, ato, ano, ise. Okay, so Odemma means it's good. It's all good. It's good. It's good. It's okay. It's good. Odemma, it is good. Okay? Odemma, Professor Duru. Yes, I'm a Duru. Odemma, one Jishike. Carol McClanny, Sleepy Kwame. Can I get an Igbo name? Of course. Or Carlos, my bad. Of course, Carlos. Of course, Carlos. I gotta get to know you though, Carlos. I don't know if I know you. If you're on Patreon, message me. Let's talk. Okay? I can't just throw a name at you. I will say this. Once you figure out what market day you're born on, one of your names is that market day. Okay? So your name might be Nwankwo. Your name might be Nweke. Your name might be Wurie. Your might be Nwafo. All of those market days are a day in the calendar. And that day, and it goes beyond like, oh, for example, okay, let me stay focused. So each of those days on the market day is also your Iwa, your stream, your universal stream, the river that you came into the world with. If you were born on Eke Day, then you came into the world with the Eke Day River. If you were born on Uriye, you came with the Uriye River, and then it's also one of your names. That's also one of your names. So standard, everybody has a name that's tied to the market day, right? Everybody has a name that's tied to the market day. So a lot of like older names, people don't do this as often, right? People don't do this as often. Like my son is Murie. My son is Murie because I remember he was born on Uriye Day. I'm trying to remember if I wrote it down somewhere, but I think my daughter is either Afo or Eke. But Afo, it was Afo. So she's Adafo. Adafo, that's one of her names. That's not her name, but if we go spiritual, that's one of her names. So off rip, figure out what market day you're born, and that's one of your names. But if you want your official name, then for sure, let's talk. Duramaka. Aha m bụ Eji Ụwaka, Eji na nkenke. Udo dịrị gị nwanne. Ndewo unu, ndewo Derek, udo nwanne, ndewo. Aurora, Ibu Odugo. Ọ dị mma. Allah is offended by immorality. Yes. What is immoral outside of the majors? What are taboos found in Ilu? Is masturbation. Okay, so if Allah found masturbation immoral, which I believe she does, you're probably not in her top 10 most offensive people. Unless I don't know you that well, you're probably not in her top 10 most offensive people. She got a long line of people to deal with before she gets to you. But um, things that Allah, so this is the thing. Allah has things that she naturally sees as immoral. But on top of those things, they're usually things that you and her have an agreement on. Okay? Things that you and her have an agreement on. Okay? This is the meaning of awful, and awful is a pact between you and Allah. You and Allah. And each person has their own awful, meaning that while there are general things that are immoral, there are specific things that you yourself shouldn't be doing because before you were born, you made the agreement not to do that thing, right? Now, as far as masturbation, I am inclined to think that Allah is not a fan of masturbation, male masturbation in particular, because it's a waste of seed. Okay. Um, I don't know about women masturbation. Um, I have no reason to believe that would be an issue for her. But male, yes, that's crazy. Female, I don't know. But it's not like, okay, so when it comes to Allah, there's things that are annoying to her, and then there's things that are absolute abominations to her. So the majors, unaliving somebody, beating a pregnant woman, desecrating something sacred. What's another one? In like in it, same family relations, and same family relations also includes in-laws, so people that your family members are married to. Okay. Those are the bit that's our rule. And then in different places, different lands shall have different things. Like in my place, killing of her children, which is Njaba, right? That's a no-no. You don't kill the python in my place. In some like Oka, the community of Oka, you don't kill monkeys. Um, and so forth. So there are certain, like United States, you don't kill bald eagles, right? I think that came from somewhere. I think that concept came from somewhere, right? Um, all of those things are violations against Allah. And then there are things that are annoying, but they're not like aro. You understand. There are things that are annoying, but they're not aro. Fighting, right? Fighting in a market is in between aro and annoying. If you fight in the market, like the Eke Ori Afo market, it's not completely aro, but it's annoying, but it's not completely like there's a consequence, right? There's a consequence. What's another one? Uh, Fornicating in like a farm, like on cultivated soil. That's our but that also ties to doing it in your space, your sacred space. And our ancestors, the farm is a sacred space. That kind of thing. So, but yeah, male masturbation, I would imagine, just from what I know, I would imagine would be an issue. Female, I don't think so. But I could be wrong, right? So I don't I'll do some research on what Allah thinks about the bean flicking, and I will return to y'all. Uh, we're all African American if we truly understand we're the first humans. We're all African American if we truly understand where the first humans were created, or whatever you want to label. I don't even know what that means. In Ifa, practitioners may receive taboos from from their Dafa reading. Interesting. The taboo is an ordered sacrificial act. I'm not reading today. Like can't eat shrimp. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do more gifts. So earlier I was talking about each person has their own awful. Each person has their own awful. And one of the ways of figuring out your taboos are from afa, from doing divination. You can do that and figure out what yours are because it's tied to your awful. And all that really means is that if you do those things, you have your awful grants you a certain amount of power and being. Okay, you have a certain power, you have a certain being, and certain things strengthen that power, certain things diminish that power. Afa is good at helping you figure out what those are. So that's what you're seeing in that tradition as far as the Yoruba tradition. It's the same concept, right? Um, but you can also learn it from life. You can also learn it from life, right? I don't eat bread anymore. Bread weakens me. Bread makes like I used to get this like itch on my arm, and then when I'd scratch it, it turned black. And so people think this is hair, but it's actually just like a big spot from eating bread. I didn't know it was coming from bread. I was just eating bread and itching and asking and wondering what was going on, right? I don't eat bread anymore. That doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me, brother. What else don't I eat anymore? Uh, I don't eat. Let me think about this well. I don't eat fish with scales, right? I don't eat fish with scales, just because in the Igbo tradition, that's one of those ones. Like there's a certain title that I'm going to be taking in the next few years, and depending on some circumstances, and not the next few years, no, in the future, in the future. And when I take that title, I can't eat slimy foods that are slimy, right? Foods that run. So like I can't eat like draw soup or mono soup. What else is slimy? Just anything that's slimy. I can't eat that. I can't eat fish with scales, which I already don't do. Um, Different things like that. So there's the natural taboos that you have as a person. There are the things that diminish your all fault. They diminish your power, your strength, your being. As you experience life, you will personally get to know them. There are things you're going to eat that weaken you. There are things that are going to eat that give you life. Okay? There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. There are things that you're going to do, and every time you do it, it has this strange consequence that you can't really explain, right? There's a reason for that. You understand? There's a reason for that. I have, like, I can really lose my temper, right? And go to a certain place. But every single time I go there, nothing good happens. Nothing good happens, right? So I know that part of my all fall is I gotta keep cool. Okay, I gotta keep cool. Relaxing, resting, trying to understand people is important for me. And the more I do that, the stronger I am, right? I know I am strong when I'm teaching. I know I'm strong when I'm learning. I know I'm strong when I am, what's another one? Um, Looking out for somebody else or guiding a person. I know that I'm strong when I'm creating, when I'm being creative. All of those things are tied to my alpha. So life experience will teach you, right? Life experience will show you those things. I know I am not strong when I'm pissed off, right? In my head, I'm being strong, but I'm not, right? Um, I know, I'm trying to think of some other ones. Ah, 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 ah. That's one I can think of right now. You know what I mean? And then when I eat bread, so don't eat bread and keep a cool head, and that's tied to my alpha. But alpha can also tell you some granular specifics that maybe I'll never figure out. Maybe I'm not supposed to eat. I don't know. Uh, oh man, sometimes I think it's so really funny, and I gotta keep it to myself because it's just gonna be funny to me. There's certain things that yeah, I'll do my Isabel. No, now my people wanted to square up with some family members, so I'm out here spreading discord on their behalf, breaking generational curses of facade of harmony. Yes, yes, there is such a thing as toxic harmony. So sometimes you gotta butt heads. I'm sorry that that's happening. Isabel, sorry that's happening. I didn't mind. But stay brave, oh. Damn, somebody must have been going nuts in the thing. Fun fact, you can get it on Apple Calendar too. Just takes a workaround with Gmail accounts. Okay, so some of you guys have Apple. I gotta figure out I'm gonna make an Apple one, I guess. I'm gonna make it. I say I guess because I'm not really committed to it. Gosh, like, oh damn it, that's a lot of work. Well, yeah. But yeah, it's primarily Google Calendar, but Aurora has figured out how to use it on a calendar. And so we're talking about the Igbo lunar calendar, 13 moons, and then the 4 market days. It tells you what each market day means and what the observances are. So Eke is a day of rest, um, and that kind of thing. Uh, and then the different moons and what they mean and so forth. So yeah, so all my patrons have it. By the way, if you're a patron and you don't have the calendar, message me on Patreon. Some of you guys have gone 2, 3 years and you haven't even, or let me say you haven't even. I haven't. Maybe I don't think I connected you or something, and then you didn't say anything. Because if I'm screwing up, let me know. Say it, say it, say it, so I can get you connected. Okay? It's for you. It's for you. It's for you. Do you know of any Igbo translation app? Honestly, I just use the Google Igbo Translate. The Google one is really good. Um, it'll give you what you need for regular conversation. If you want to get super deep, then it starts having issues. But I don't know any apps outside of that one. There are some websites that I guess maybe they're apps now too. I think one was NKWOA, but I think that's more of a dictionary. Okay. So, but I use Google Translate. It works fine. I was using Chat GPT at a point, and then I started noticing that either Chat GPT got worse or something, but its translations are not, they're not hitting, as the young people say, right? The Fisherman, yes, The Fisherman by Chigoze Obioma. Can you share an honorific for Idemiri and Anyanwu? Oh, absolutely. And I like that you said Idemiri. You must be Laddie. I don't know if you're from my area, but that's how we say it. And Anyanwu, Odemma. An honorific for Anyanwu is Uzo Chuku. Uzo Chuku. Uzo Chuku. Right? Uzo Chuku. Which is funny enough, the name of our DBA on Patreon. We have an in-house DBA on Patreon, by the way. If you guys want to talk to a DBA, I have a DBA that I recommend to our patrons. So message me and I'll connect you to him. Uzo Chuku is one for Anyanwu, right? Which is uh, the route to Chuku, the door to Chuku, the pathway to Chuku. Uzo Chuku is one. Idemiri Ezenwanyi is good for Idemiri. Ezenwanyi. Ezenwanyi means like queen woman or queen mother. Queen woman or queen mother. Ezenwanyi gets used to say female debia as well, but the origin of Ezenwanyi as female debia comes from Nemiri, which is Ezenwanyi, right? Um, uh, normally female devias do a lot more water work than men, right? So they get associated with it and that kind of thing. Normally, right? But it's not a hard concrete thing. There's men that do it too, right? Uh, Hold on. Hypothetically, where are we at? Could I say good morning to the four market days that connect to you? Yes, John. Absolutely, John. That's exactly how you do it. Because in the end of the day, there are ancestors who you'll never be able to name, right? There's ancestors you'll never be able to name. So because everybody's name is one of those days, you even if you heard me when I was breaking Achi, I said Omondieke, Omondiorie, Omondiafo, Omondingwo. You can just say Ndiorie, or you can just say Ndieke, Ndiorie, Ndiafo, na Ndingwo. Or you can just say Eke Orie Afo, right? The first one I said is children of Eke, children of Orie, children of. And then the next one I said was people of, and then the next one I said was just the names, Eke, Ori, Afo, Nkwo. Either way, for you use Eke, Ori, Afo, Nkwo to show acknowledgement and appreciation to the unnamed ancestors, to ancestors you did not name. Phoenix said, hit that damn like button. Let's hit that like button. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Hit that little heart button too. I like seeing them little hearts fly, right? I like seeing them little, there we go. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll do my. On burial, if a person was truly beautiful soul, brought joy despite untimely, tragic end, would they still have a good? Well, if they committed, like if they passed away in a way that is associated with our rule, then no, they wouldn't get a full burial, right? It's not really based on if that person was a good person or not. You understand? It's that that person has violated Allah, and so I can't give this person back to Allah. You understand? That this person has kind of is an enemy because they have committed arala. They've committed, that's another thing too. The person has committed arala, and so I cannot give this person back to, no matter how I feel about the person. No matter how I feel about the person. You understand? There's a lot of things, and I just think in like older societies where you just do regardless of how you feel or regardless of your opinion on it. All right, okay, this is a good person. Yeah, but they passed this way, so this is just what it is. Okay, so yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's well or it's good. Yes, Aurora, Imena. Someone gave me the Igbo name of Kelechuku. Hey, he said Kelechuku is a heavy name, oh. Every Kele I know is a good ass person. Every Kele, everybody knows. If there's no bad Keles, be it Kele Chuku, Kele Chi, Kele anything, Chuku Kele, all those, any Kele is always a good, consistently a good person. Every Ugo Chuku, hey, God. Every Ugo Chuku is like their head is made of cinder block. Like they're just hard headed, stubborn. They're not flinching, right? Every Duru, me, I'm Duru. My name is Duru, is an old soul. It's an old soul's name, right? I'm trying to think of some other names that come with some visible consequences. Chukwuemeka. My dad is a Chukwuemeka. Chukwuemekas will stress you out, especially if you're a woman. Chukwuemeka will stress you out, especially if you're a woman. So no, Kele Chukwu is a great name. That's a good name. Odema. Hold on to that name very tightly. It means thank God. Thank God. Kele Chukwu. Angel the Babe says Odema or Adema, I'm fine. It's all good. Cool. It's well. Diana Wankwa or Diana Wankwa. I was born on Nkwa Day. I'm not Mbo. Oh shit. Some of those names have become like people have been using it to insult people, which they should stop because what the hell is that? Like Mbori, I think his name Mbori. Mbori is like a woman born on Uriye Day, but they use the term to refer to like a girl that's like um That's not with the times, okay? That's not with the time. Maybe she's Nigerians say local. Nigerians say a girl that is very local. Yeah, it's very local, right? But but I think that's some bullshit. I think that should stop. Oduma. When you host communion with your ancestors and make agreements between them, Allah or Ikenga. Pour libations is enough, or should you break all G? Sacrifice more efficient. Um, if you're making agreements, yeah, libation is enough. Libation is enough. All G is enough. It's really your words. It's really your words that are carrying the whole thing. It's really your words that are carrying the whole thing, right? So libation is good. Think about it like you're hosting a meeting, right? And you brought alcohol to the meeting. I don't think people complain too much. Okay, so that's good. Some people will use like a bigger sacrifice, chicken, goat, cow, if you're serious, right? The extent of your sacrifice gives gravity to the agreement. Excuse me. Or the difficulty it was to attain your sacrifice gives gravity to your agreement. So I don't know. Bald eagle replaced the phoenix in sacredness for American founding fathers and their orders and societies and writings. Like, yeah. But the phoenix replaced the no. I can't remember the Igbo name for some damn reason, but the phoenix replaced the hornbill. The hornbill, that bird with that big hornbill, right? The phoenix replaced the hornbill. Now I'll tell you guys the story. If you guys want to hear a story, here it goes. If you don't want to hear a story, then I don't know. You have to cry about it or something, right? So, as Chukwu was ordering the universe, as Chukwu was putting the universe back together from the shattering, from the chaos of the Odachi Nebere, Chukwu noticed something very interesting happening in Obi Chukwu. Chukwu noticed a daughter, and this daughter was the hornbill. And notice that this daughter was taking very good care of her mother and very good care of her father. Anytime the mother or father said, "Daughter, I need you to get me something," without asking a question, without hesitating, the hornbill would stand up and go get that thing like a dutiful daughter. But Chukwu also noticed that the mother and the father of the hornbill were getting sick as they were getting very, very old. And the daughter became very concerned about what would happen to her parents as they get older and older and older. And so Chukwu had a plan. Chukwu called the hornbill, the dutiful daughter, the hornbill, to Ubi Chukwu and told the hornbill that I need you to go to Allah, to earth, and I need you to look at my creation. I need you to look at what is going on. I need you to oversee the rebirth of Allah. And the daughter was honored that Chukwu chose her to go and see the earth before anyone else. And so Chukwu went back to her sick parents and told them of what was going to happen. But she realized that this is going to be a long and difficult journey. And perhaps her parents would not be back, will be there when she returns. And so she had a plan. She put her father on one shoulder and put her mother on another shoulder. And she lifted into the air and flew into the earth to show her parents what Chukwu was creating in the cosmos. She flew and flew and flew and flew and flew and flew into absolute pitch darkness that we refer to as Odi. So she flew in Odi. She could see absolutely nothing, but she just knew to continue heading in the direction she was heading with her mother and her father. As she flew, as she flew, as she flew, she noticed that her father began to cough. And after the father was done coughing, her father passed away. To honor her father with a proper burial, she opened her own skull and buried her father inside of her own skull because there was no ground for her to bury the father. And she continued to fly and fly and fly. And after a while, her mother started coughing. And when her mother was done coughing, her mother passed. And to honor her mother and give her a proper burial, she opened her own skull and placed her mother inside of her skull. And she continued to fly and to fly and to fly and to fly and to fly until the grief of what had just happened overwhelmed her. And her wings began to grow tired. And so she just reached for anything. She reached for anything. And finally she felt something, a branch. She couldn't see it, but it was a branch, right? And she held on to the branch of the ube tree, And she sat there resting and thinking about what had happened to her mother and her father. And she began to cry. And she began to cry and cry. And she shouted out, ube. And when she shouted ube, an egg, she laid an egg. A big egg came out of her. And she heard it splash into some water and crack. And when it cracked, the sun emerged and shone light on absolutely every single thing in Chukwu's creation. From her egg, the sun came and gave light. And with that light, she was able to see what she was brought to see. It was earth. It was vast. It was beautiful. It was like unlike anything she had ever seen before. But she continued to cry and cry and cry. And then another egg came out. And it splashed in the water. And it cracked. And the moon emerged. And it showed her the night. It showed her all of the things that the night reveals. And when she looked at the sun and she looked at the moon, she felt the spirit of her father and her mother. And so Chukwu had honored her father and her mother by making them immortal, by making them the sun and making them the moon. And Chukwu honored the, I can't remember the damn name, the hornbill, by making her the empress of the sky, right? The empress of the sky. And that is the story of the hornbill. Now, the reason I told the story of the hornbill is because if you go throughout the whole of Africa, they all have this story, right? I'm not gonna say all, because there's some Africans that just returned from like the Middle East and shit and Europe and all that. So Elon Musk doesn't have this story, right? But most of Africa, most of the planter culture Africa have this story or a version of this story. I've looked at Dogon masks and you'll see a bird with two birds sitting on its head, right? And the name is the hornbill. You understand? If you watch the movie The Lion King, right, you see Zazu, big beak. He's the one that goes around and tells everybody things. He does, Mufasa goes, Zazu, go tell this person something. And Zazu goes and does the thing. That's what Zazu is, right? The Egyptians, the Kemet, right? It felt awkward saying Egyptians. In Kemet, they had the story of the Bennu, right? Bennu, Ube, Ebenu. Ebenu is Ebenu is a way of saying like don't cry or cry, that kind of thing. The be is like crying out, right? But in some version of the story, she dies and then she comes back to life as the sun. You understand? And that's the story of the phoenix. And the Greeks, theirs is, I think she comes back as like a flaming bird. I'm not sure. And that kind of thing. So everywhere you see the story of the phoenix, that's what that is. Now, in America, in American cosmology, they replaced the phoenix with the bald eagle, right? So, but it's all the same thing. So, I'll do my. Hope you guys like that story. Okra, no more okra. Now, wow. Yeah, no more okra. Titled men don't eat okra. They don't eat draw soup. Titled men don't eat draw soup. So whatever. Unless you have like one of them church titles, you can eat whatever you want. Duru, why do we refer to great men as Agon? Agon Asa. Hey, but not Udum lion. Um our in our environment, we dealt with leopards. We didn't really deal with lions like that. We dealt with leopards in our environment, but the leopard is more than just like a big cat to our people, right? The leopard is excellent in all terrains. The leopard is an excellent swimmer. It's excellent on the ground. It's excellent in a tree. It's excellent flying through the air. It's excellent in a mountain. It is a master in all terrains, right? And it is the spirit totem, the spirit animal of Igbo people, of Ndibo, right? Because we're the leopards. You understand? We're the leopard people. You see it on the Biafra emblem. You also see that when an Igbo man gets a title, he's given leopard skin, right? Which our people have converted to ishagun, right? So it's that fabric you see with the spots. It always has spots, right? Which people have like made the spots lions, but I'm not trying to be a well technically guy, but that shit annoys me, but whatever. So the ones with the spots, you'll notice like the older ones are more velvet, have like a velvet feel, because it's supposed to be a replacement of leopard fur. But some people will still wear the leopard fur. Some people still walk around with the agon, that kind of thing. So a person that has achieved the heights, that has ascended, or a person that has achieved awile, right, have manifested their godlike nature, right? Each of us have a godlike nature. Over time, we will eventually manifest it. Some people are born manifesting it. That's that person, right? And once the community sees it, they put that leopard fur skin on you. That's why titled men wear ishagon, right? And so that is why we call ourselves agon. We don't call ourselves odum. We see odum like lying as dangerous, but like kind of lazy. You know, they're dangerous, right? So even with us saying the lion, there's an ilu that says odumne buagon, which means a lion kills agon. The lion kills the leopard. Now, why do we, with the respect we have for the leopard, say the lion kills the leopard, right? The Elu says that even the greatest thing you can imagine has something that can defeat it. Okay, so we're the leopard people. Me, I'm a leopard. I'm Mago. You understand, right? So that's why we put so much mono abu Mago asa. And then asa is like complete, total, as they say in the modern day, just complete and total, absolute, the number seven, divine, that kind of thing. Thanks for answering my question. How does what you Oh, how does what you mentioned transfer to dying on Eke Day? So it was so interesting. In order for me to, so when I was moving states, right, with like, this was a few years ago, I just did not make enough to like haul an entire family to another state. So I took a second job, and at that second job, I met this older gentleman from Umuahia. And he was telling me he had recently moved to America. And he was kind of telling me, because I was explaining what I do, and he was really into it and that kind of thing. And he was telling me that about like Eke Day, that people don't die on Eke Day, is what our people say. Um, Eke Day is the day of Mo, is the day of the Abara, is the day of them. So the idea is, if a person dies on Eke Day, maybe it was Mo, maybe it was the Abara that did it, right? That if the Abara are gonna strike you, they're likely to strike you on Eke Day, right? But that's just like it's not that's like a it's more superstitious than anything. But when people back in the day would die on Eke Day, the family would pretend they were still alive until Uri, and then they say, "Oh, this person has passed away," so on and so forth, right? So they try not to. People try not to die on Eke Day, though we can't always help the day we pass, and that kind of thing. Is it true that there was a tribe in Africa that killed twins? Yes, yes, it is true. Afouku/Afonso is our day of rest in my place. Okay, Odimma. Yes, perfect, perfect, perfect. So yeah, everybody has their different days of rest. Eke is probably the most universal, but you'll meet people that they don't do things on this day, they don't do things on that day, different days. So Angel the Babe says her community, they don't rest on Afo. They don't rest on Afo. Odema. Afo and so holy Afo. Odema. Is in line or memory, well said. I can make an Apple Calendar guide for patrons. Oh, Aurora, why can't I read that? Aurora. Aurora, if you could, I would really appreciate that. That would help me out a lot. That would help me out a lot. Thank you so much. That was really cool. I'm trying to make, because like I'm making videos right now, so I'm trying to get it so that like with the new way I'm going to do my videos, I want to be able to post at least like more than one time a week. I don't want to just post once a month with the videos, right? I want more than one time a week. So I am going to have to like let go of some of the stuff I'm already doing now and try not to put too much other stuff on my plate. So that helps a lot. If you can do that, I'd appreciate it. Odema. Thick and well. Thick and well. Is there a specific way to use chalk to communicate with spirits? Yeah, absolutely. Well, remember, it is an art, right? It is an art. It is not a doctrine. So there are many ways. So I can give you some training wheels, and then you can take those training wheels and do what you want with it. Okay. There are two ways I've seen chalk used. Chalk is used for what Cubans call the firm letters. So writing sigils, writing insipidi, writing what are the different names for it? Just writing different things, and in that, knowing how to write those things is an art form onto itself. I can't necessarily teach it. I know as much insipidity as is made publicly available, and I also know some certain things like how to depict a spiritual journey and things like that. So if you need help with those like more advanced things, just message me. We can talk on Patreon. Otherwise, one of the ways that everybody uses chalk is you take the chalk and you draw four lines. Eke, urie, afo, nkwo. You just draw four lines, okay? And then with those four lines, let's say you don't have an altar. In fact, there was somebody asked me a question. Maybe I need to tell her this. With those four lines, you can treat those four lines as the altar because you're representing the ezumezu, the full, total, and complete. Eke, uri, afo, nkwo. Draw those four lines. Now, when people draw the four lines, they'll do some interesting things with it. If they have Augie, if they have cola, which mine are all dry right now, they'll put one piece on each of the lines. So I'm giving Eke her own. I'm giving Uri her own. I'm giving Afo her own. I'm giving Nkwa her own, right? Boom, 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 boom. All 4 days, right? I've seen people take Edo. Edo is like Nzu, which is like a white chalkish stone, chalky stone. And they'll take Edo, which is like a yellow chalky stone, and they'll sprinkle the Edo on the stomach of each of those lines, meaning that she's pregnant. Each of those days are pregnant. Edo represents abundance, wealth, glory, victory, all that good, shiny gold stuff, right? The anything you can represent with a gold medal or gold represented by Edo. So you take little pieces and you give each day. I've seen people take libations and pour on each of the days. Now, if you are a titled man, you can make 8 lines. You make 8 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 8 lines. And those are really the only people that make 8 lines. I have seen some people make 5 lines. But I think that just communicates, he said, like, it shall be, okay? So that's one of the ways you can use chalk. You can also use chalk to communicate certain things on your body, right? So chalk on the eye is the opening of the spiritual eye, the opening of the Oseara, the eye of light. I have a video called Oseara Explained if you want to understand more about the ancestral understanding of the third eye. But the Oseara is opening your spiritual eye. So some people will put one thing of chalk on one eye, or they'll put like a whole band on their full eye, or they'll do a little line on their head. They have different ways of depicting it, right? But just some type of chalk on the face, that's Oseara. The chalk on your hand and on your body represents the presence of the ancestors. In Uli or in Sibidi, the hand represents ancestor. If you draw a hand, that means ancestor or ancestral spirit, right? For the hand. So you use that to depict the presence of the ancestors. And then you'll see people write, like people like in Arochukwu people that will write more detailed and sibity stuff on their body sometimes. But yeah, those are a few ways you can use chalk. Another one you can use chalk is you crush it up and then like you blow it. And that blowing does the same as saying you say it's like whatever you're saying. We shall have glory. We shall have abundance. We shall have wisdom. We shall have growth. We shall defeat our obstacles. So on and so on and so forth. He said when you release it into the air, right? Like, I don't know if you see LeBron James when he does a little same thing, right? You release it into the air. So some people do that. Some people use crush up nzu before without saying he said, and they'll blow it onto their altar. And nzu is a manifestation of water. Water is a manifestation of life. So when you blow nzu onto an altar, you're infusing it with life. You're giving it life. You're blowing life into the altar. Okay? So those are a couple of ways you can use nzu. Hope that helps. Onyakebe. Yes, yes. Wana, thank you for that. My name is Chukwuemeka. Oh man. Oh man. Emeka, I don't know if you've entered your villain arc. Why is there a stereotype around Emeka? Every Emeka is in the middle of their villain arc. That's why. Every Emeka is knee deep in a villain arc. Okay. What is the connotation for Ada for women born on Afo Day? Ada for women are that hornbill story I told you. That bird is a perfect representation of an Adafo, a perfect representation of that Adafo. They are traditional, they are grounded, they are family. Family is important to them. Um, Things like that. Good mothers. Um, what's another one? What's another one? What is another one? Things like that. I'm born on Afo Day, so me, but like a girl. Uh, I was given Eke Day in Afa, and Nkwo is the second best day of power. Oh damn! All right, I can see. I can. Dan, I can see you being an Eke, 100%. I think I've told you that too. I know that toddler life. Ah man, and it's funny too because when they're like infants, okay, as your child is growing, you keep thinking it's gonna get easier and easier. Like, okay, once this kid stops crying every single day, then it'll be easier. No, the crying ends, they come with a whole new one, right? Now you got to play all the time. Then when they're done with the okay, once they get over trying to play all the time, then something's gonna change. Okay, now they're fighting with their sibling all the time, right? Now they need you to get this and do this and that. And they have a whole bunch of other things they need other than like water, food, and attention. It never gets easier. Maybe right now I'm waiting for that teenager life. Maybe they'll be easier when they're teenagers. I can hear you. Jamel, thank you very much. Says you're blown away by the depth of this philosophical spiritual system. Yeah, the African spirituality will blow your mind. It is amazing. Lion is known to be prideful. There you go. Leopard is also known to be prideful. There's an Ilu that says, let me say it correctly. The shield of the leopard is its reputation. I'm trying to say it in English. The shield of the leopard is its reputation. So because you know I am the leopard, I'm protected. You're not going to mess with me. You understand? You're not. You already know what I'm about, right? The shield of the leopard is its reputation. You understand? Which is interesting because there's some people where it's like, let's say, oh, let's go rob that person, or let's go rob somebody, and you run in there like, oh man, it's Martin Luther King. Oh my bad, I didn't mean. I'm sorry, sir. You know that kind of thing, because that's an Agun Woke, right? An Agun Woke, and his reputation is his shield, right? That kind of thing. So I didn't mind. To your knowledge, what is the closest? You guys are coming with the questions today, and I love it. I love it. I don't know. I think it's the something going on with the moon. To your knowledge, what is the closest explanation or connection to what we now call ADHD? I'd have to study ADHD a lot more to say something definitive. I would have a hard time imagining an Igbo society where a person has ADHD and that person's considered abnormal. We all have ADHD. Think we all have a heavy. I think every Nigerian has a heavy ass ADHD, and it comes with the factory settings, right? ADHD is a factory setting for us as a people, and I don't know if our culture, like the way our culture is, I don't think it's a problem, right? It's not necessarily a problem for a person, right? So it would be hard for that to be. I have this book. Oh, wow, there it is. I have this book here, right? And this is Healing Insanity by Patrick Iroebu. I always recommend it to everybody, even though I called the publisher and the guy that answered the phone is one kind jackass. But it's all good. So that book breaks down like different mental health diagnoses. We also, like for our traditional medicine class, I'm also adding the different mental health diagnoses to our textbook. So those of you who have taken the traditional medicine class before, and those of you who are going to be taking it, I'm going to be adding them to the textbook this time coming around. And we're signing up right now, by the way. The class starts March 24th. And so if you're trying to sign up, I would seriously hurry up. I think we're at like 2 seats left, and one of them is like a reserve. So I'd hurry up if you want to sign up. Otherwise, just message me. We'll work something out. But there are different mental health diagnoses, and that wasn't one of them. That ADHD or anything that looked like ADHD wasn't one of them. There are certain things that would be considered okay. So when it comes to the word ara, which is madness, right, craziness, uh, or bad mental health, I guess in America, um, uh, there are certain things you notice that each of the cultures has what it classifies as like mental unwellness or whatever. And in the Igbo tradition, it's things that are things that are a problem, like mental configurations that are a problem, are the ones that pull you away from life and pull you away from your community, right? That pull you away. So you notice a lot of people with schizophrenia back home, they'll wander a lot. They'll wander a lot, picking things up and that kind of thing. That is ara, you understand. But if a person is still connected to the mix, but they're just like have attention deficit, it's not. We all do. Why do you think we all start meetings with stimulants, right? We all start before the meeting starts, we all take a stimulant so that we can all now talk. Yeah, we're all neurospicy, as they would say. Are you familiar with Yoruba Aroko? Does it overlap with Insibidi much? I don't know anything about Aroko. I don't know anything about Aroko. I'd be interested. Let me start looking it up right now, actually. I am now going to start Googling Aroko and see what I see. Aroko. It wouldn't shock me, but I don't think so. Nonverbal communication system that uses objects to convey meanings. Hold on. Oh, super cool. Yeah, no, I don't. Okay. This is not related to Insibidi, but we do something similar. I just don't know too much about it because it's a bit of a lost art right now. So it's one of those things that I'm going to do the digging. We do something similar, but it's not the exact same as the Yoruba system. And I think I would imagine that theirs is more detailed because they do it more. I think ours was the Insibidi. It was the Uli and the Insibidi. And then they used like actual, like, they would tie knots, and certain, like, this thing together means this. All these things together means this. All these things together mean this. As far as nonverbal communication, insibidi, we talk about the writing of insibidi, but insibidi, the word insibidi is, I think it's like an ethic or a jagam word, and the word means play, like a play. So Insibidi is originally a sign language. Okay, so you'll see Ekpe members, they'll start doing all these things, and then like they'll do a sign language, and then like an Ekpe masquerade will start doing a specific thing based on the sign language of the controller. So the controller uses sign language to control the masquerade, but then they can also use sign language to communicate with each other. You understand? So there was a sign language, and then the sign language is accompanied with the written language, and then the written language is also they're all accompanied with like plays, like different plays. Like so, there are certain insipidity symbols where if you see it, if you know what it is, you have to make a specific action. You have to do a specific thing. There was one for I think either there's one for like the heart, which is like a super detailed symbol. It's the heart. And if a person sees heart and they know what it is, they're supposed to go like this and then go to like the corner of a room. you know and so sometimes I think sometimes that members would use it to be like, okay, I'm going to write this, see if anybody is one of my people, that kind of thing. So yeah, so I think that thing just played the same role as Insipidity. But the reason I know that we have something similar is because we have this like palm, like a lot of rituals. You'll notice that like there'll be certain configurations of palm fronds, like palm leaves. I just don't know what those configurations mean, and I want to learn them. Right, I want to learn them. You'll see it a lot, like at shrines, altars, and that kind of thing. Like right before you get to a devious place, you'll see like some kind of configuration of palm. I would like to know the meaning of it. I think some of the younger ones just do it because the older ones did it. So I think I'd have to ask the older ones, hey, what does that mean? What is that? That kind of thing. But I don't think it's as like detailed as the Yoruba one. That kind of thing. Could be wrong. Oh, I disconnected and I came back. Where are we at? Can you talk about Ndiotu? Yes. Yes. Ndiotu, yes. People have kind of changed or starting to change the meaning of Ndiotu, and I think it's Debias that are changing it because I think Debias are legit. Ndiotu are the people you come into creation with, living and non-living or non-human. Let me say, they are the things you come into creation with, living and non-living. So when a person is a composite of four elements, they're chi, eke, agun, mo. When you pass away, your agun begins a process of reincarnation. Your agun can come back into, like when we talk about reincarnation, that's what's returning is the agun, right? But that agun can enter multiple or can come back as multiple children. So me, my cousin Emeka, and then one other cousin that I'm aware of all have the same, we all reincarnate from the same person. So we all have the same agun, right? So our purpose in life, like things like our purpose, things like our access to wisdom is similar to each other. Our is similar to each other, or it's interlocked. So I will do two. We are one. But then there's also more that you enter creation with, right? There are also more that you enter creation with. You're entering creation with them because those more are somehow, some way associated with what am I going to say? They're somehow so associated with your personhood, your purpose, where you're going, wherever you're going, they're going. Sometimes some of your Nduatu might be like an Obanje, right? And so maybe you're going this way, but it wants to pull the ship this way instead, that kind of thing. So Nduatu are all the things you come into creation with. Nduatu, literally those who you are one with. You're one people. Okay? Odemma. Do herons have significance in Igbo culture? Birds that have long legs. So there's this bird known as the chocoloco, and I don't know if it's a heron or an egret, but I think it is an egret. Some people say chocoloco, some people say ekaleke. So there is the big idea. There's also a story tied to this. I'll tell the story real quick. And so so in Igbo cosmology, there's this understanding that the world comes into being, or the human story has four ages known as the four world ages, right? And in in the first world age, people had direct connection to Chukwu, so they didn't need to eat food, right? They can just breathe, umendo, and live, right? Breathing is a remnant of that era. Some people say they didn't even need to breathe because they were just thought forms. They were just like thoughts on the mind of Chukwu and that kind of thing. And so in the very beginning, people were just these. They had absolute connection to Chuku. They had absolute connection to everything, and then that connection was severed. That connection went away, and suddenly people forgot the name of Chuku because they wanted to ask to call Chuku to give them more, give us more, that kind of thing. And they didn't know how to find food. They didn't know how to eat. They didn't know how to do anything because again, the umbilical cord has been cut. The eteo has been cut, right? And so, as they began searching around to remember the name of Chuku, they went by the river and they noticed there was one bird, and that bird was saying, Chuku, 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 Chuku. And they said, that was the name. That's the name of Chuku. So they decided that since this bird remembers the name of Chuku, this bird is somehow still connected to Chuku. So what they were going to do was they were going to catch the Chocoloco and they were going to kill the Chocoloco. And that Chocoloco in more will send their messages to Chuku like, hey, bring the food back, bring everything back. Like, what happened, right? So they surrounded the Chocoloco. As Chocoloco stood unaware and said, Chuku, 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 Chuku. And then when the Chocoloco dipped down to drink some water, they pounced. They grabbed it. They took it back to the village. They got the knife. They spread out its long neck. The Chocoloco went, whoa, 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 whoa. And so they stopped. The Chocoloco said, listen, 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 listen. Don't kill me. If you kill me, it's not going to work out. Instead, sacrifice my brother, the one that keeps coming to your house looking for food. He will get you the message. He will get your message to where you want it to go. And so they released the Chocoloco and they went and caught the Chocoloco's brother who keeps coming to them for food. The Chocoloco's brother who kept coming to them for food was the chicken. This is why people sacrifice chickens instead of egrets or herons. I don't know if it's an egret or a heron. I just know it's an ekeleke. In my place, some people say Chocoloco, right? Now, today, there is a masquerade, super popular masquerade, that's primarily done by Arochukwu people. Or if it's done in your town, it was introduced by Arochukwu people, known as the ekeleke. And the ekeleke is a really fun masquerade. It's on stilts and it flaps around like a bird, and it's just a person dancing and that kind of thing. It's like a bird, and they wear a little woman head, like there's a little woman's head on top of their head, and they dance around that kind of thing. It's like a stilt dancer. Damn it! And so the ekeleke, I'm just gonna wear this one right here. Yeah. So the ekeleke dancer, the ekeleke is dancing the dance of the ekeleke, of course, but it's also a play. If you watch the full ekeleke thing, it's actually a play. And what's happening is the ekeleke is dancing and dancing and dancing, and then a leopard approaches, and the leopard is coming to steal the chickens from the community. And so the ekeleke is dancing, everybody's enjoying the ekeleke. In fact, my grandfather was an ekeleke dancer, and he loved the ekeleke dance so much. And he that has his funeral. We actually had them perform ekeleke, and he passed on, like he would use ekeleke songs to sing my mother to bed, and she used the ekeleke songs to sing us to bed. And then now I use the ekeleke songs to sing my children to bed. And the way it goes is yo yo in my, I mean, yeah, it's everywhere. It was yo 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 yo. And then you say the child's name, right? In the dance, you would say the ekeleke's name, and then the ekeleke starts dancing. But I'll use like my daughter, Olanaye chiege role, Olanaye chiege role, yo 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 yo. Nwanyi fụrụ ngwere si na ngwere bụ anụ. Nwanyi fụrụ ngwere si na ngwere bụ anụ. Yo, 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 yo. So as this song is being sung by the audience and everybody's not dancing, but everybody's watching the dance, this little leopard is sneaking around and trying to like catch chickens and steal people's stuff. And so what happens is the heroic ekeleke, there's an ekeleke that comes with a gun, right? When this Ekeleke approaches them, they start singing like more warrior type songs, right? And the Ekeleke then sees the leopard and shoots the leopard, starts chasing and all that stuff. So it's just a play that happens with the Ekeleke. But most of the time you see Ekeleke, it's just going to be the dancing. It's hard to find the play, or I haven't seen the play done. I've only seen it in video, right? But yeah, so that's the so yeah, heron, egret, one of them. But I just know Ekeleke. It's just a long-legged white bird that hangs out by the river. Teen life is definitely not easy. Yeah, it's unreal. Easy and teenagers don't belong in the same sentences. Okay. Leopard is most successful of the large cats. Absolutely. Do you know Gala? No, I don't know that. What that is. I like your video on numbers, giving you a like. Hey, Ela, appreciate it. I think this is my first time seeing your name here, so appreciate you being here. I haven't finished the number series. I got, I think that video goes from one to maybe four. So the next one, not the next video I'm doing, but the next in the number series is going to be five to whatever, and then all the way until 12. I think is the highest I can go. 12 or 14. Right? Oh, damn. Do you think the Kemetic system is derived from Igbo? I don't think derived. I think we're all pointing at the same thing and saying the same thing. I think we're all pointing at the same thing and saying the same thing. I don't know about derived. I think we're all tapped into the same thing, right? It's funny too because a lot of my videos I'll share these stories about like the CIA and the CIA doing devious stuff and figuring out that this is real, right? I think I've shared this story two times now. I have in my video, um, I think it's the numerology video, the Igbo numerology. I think it's the numerology video. I share a story about how the CIA, and this is like their own documentation. They did an experiment and they figured out that the agun, that a person's agun is real, that that's a real thing. They called it the higher self, right? And they said that this higher self manifests into multiple people, but those multiple people can also be in different realms. That there's different realms. It's weird stuff. But we say that back home. They say that in Kemet too. So I don't think we are one is deriving from the other. I think we're just tapped into the same thing, right? That a lot of people have access to. So I don't know. Does the class does the class days for Algon one overlap the days for the current Asuibo? No, no, they don't overlap. Algon is Monday, Tuesday. I made sure they didn't. Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, but like earlier in the day, so it's not the same time. The only day that would overlap would be Wednesday. So you'd just have if you were doing those, you'd have two classes in that one day. Okay, um, which is a lot. I think it's a lot to take both at the same time, but I don't know. You guys are, by the way, our I just want to give a shout out to the people in Kedu that are in the Igbo language class because like you guys are killing it. Like I don't know what the hell's going on. You guys are killing it. Like what? Like I'll read sometimes I'll watch like the replays of the classes or I'll read like some of you guys' conversation on WhatsApp. I'm like, well, who are these people? I don't know. You guys are doing really good this quarter. Like I'm very, very amazed. Of course, Michael, our teacher is an Agunwoke, right? When I go home, I'll make sure that I'll pitch in for Michael's chieftaincy. He deserves it. He's an incredible person. So that we have one of the best. We have the best teacher imaginable, which is Michael, and then we have the best new teacher imaginable, which is Izzy. Izzy is doing a really good job with the coach. Really good job with the coaching, I think, because like, damn. I can't listen to you guys' coaching calls, but everybody's has good reviews, and he's doing a great job. He teaches the UK class, so for the UK times, and so he's doing a super good job there. And this is his first quarter. He's never done this before, right? He's never done this before, but he's doing an amazing job. Really cool kid. He plays Ogene. He plays in an Ogene band, but they just play for fun. He's not. It's like a career for him, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, cool guy. There are signs in Insibidi that are for objects used in Aroko. For example, the chewing stick is a written sign in Insibidi. Chewing physical objects is sent. Oh, interesting. Emmy, looks like you and I need to talk, man. I don't. It looks like you and I need to talk because now you've got my brain buzzing. Like I want to know more. So it looks like you and I need to talk. Aduma. What was the cause of the separation from Chuku? If you notice the pattern, any story that pertains to Chuku or that pertains to creation, things start as one and then they separate and they separate and they separate and they separate. So at all times, we are drifting further and further away from Chuku, right? That is how we ended up in Ugazi in the age we're in today. There's just a perpetual drifting away from Chuku. There's also what causes separation in the world ages is that we came from Chuku, Aisriobi Chuku, right? A part of us came from Chuku and entered Allah, right? And so now we are in the world of Allah. And so when that separation happened, people learned to stop eating from the sky and started learning to eat from the earth. Okay. And so that's when farming happened. That's when we connected to the Albara. That is when we began everything we call Odinala. Everything we call Odinala, right? Primarily is gets established in this time when we get connected from Chuku, uh, because we're now connecting to the earth. You understand? Now, the way I see it biologically, I, it parallels the transition from sperm to when the sperm and the egg meet, right? Zygote is one. It's got different phases. So your sperm, you're in the father, you eat from the father, you receive from the father, and then you get sent into the mother, right? You get sent into the mother, and then the connection is made with the egg, and now you eat from the mother, you receive from the mother, you are one with the mother, right? Still carrying the basic essence of the father, but now infused with the mother so that you are whole. So that's how I see I see the same parallel in that story. Okay, right? Because if you think about the sperm, right, it doesn't eat, it doesn't all these different things, right? When they describe Ndimbo, the first people, they're light forms and all these different things. And then when the egg and the sperm connect, there's a light that emits, it glows, that kind of thing. So the light form comes from the father, becomes a physical form within the mother, then it begins to gestate and grow, and then it comes out of the mother. You see, like I was saying earlier, it starts as one, drifts apart. Starts as one, drifts apart, drifts apart, drifts apart, drifts apart, that kind of thing. Perpetually expanding, right? So this is why I always use the analogy of when you throw a stone into a lake and it makes the ripples. We're like ripples, ripple, that kind of thing. So I don't know. Phoenix. Sometimes like, okay, wait, hold on. No, you didn't do this. I don't know. Shit. Where are we at? Thanks for letting me know the name of Ekeleke. Visit me in a dream, believe it or not. Wow. The main concept, that's dope. I did know what type of I did know what type of birds. I only know flamingo. Hello. That's powerful. You mentioned Ndiotu. How do you know the people you are connected to? So in the Igbo tradition, it's a little bit easier because we keep track of it. So when you're born, right? When you're born, there will be certain people that are born within your generation and within your family who you're connected to. We tend to figure out by going to a dibia and doing afa, and they'll say that, oh, this person has returned through your child, right? So my grandfather returned through him, and then my nephew, my brother's son, is also my grandfather. So they are Ndiotu. Now they know that they're Ndiotu. We know that they're Ndiotu because we keep track of who's coming back, and some people come back more than once, right? And so, especially if that person was celebrated by the family, will come back more than once. And so the some of the perimeters we have is like they can't go to each other's funerals, right? They don't go to each other's funerals. And I think that if like one of them gets married, there's a special seat for their Ndiotu, the people that they come into the world with, because it's also their marriage too in a strange way, or their wedding day too in a strange way. Um, in the past, when you get a chieftaincy title, you guys have to used to get a chieftaincy title together in some communities, but I don't think that's as popular as it used to be. Phoenix, I'm officially sleepy. Good night. Okay, there will Phoenix. You've done very well, Phoenix. You're the mod of the year. I see you out here sniping. So all the mod guys are. Can you guys still hear me? Okay. Mitosis is a process of the chat went quiet, so I wonder what's going on. Mitosis is a process of nuclear division in eukaryotic cells that occurs when the parent cell divides and produces two identical daughter cells. Yeah, all these things have these very interesting parallels in biology and physics and so forth. So, but guys, it looks like the questions are running out. I think it looks like the questions are running out. I think people are getting tired. I'm getting tired. So I'll do my. Is there any way that Igbo culture handled menstrual cramps? Yeah, they have medicines for that. They have medicine for that. I doubt that was even an issue back then due to diet. Some people are just born with difficult menstrual periods, and there are medicines for that. I know as a fact there's a lot of medicines for that. There's medicines for that. There are medicines for like infertility, medicines for like if you don't produce breast milk. There's a lot of herbal medicines for all those things. So I don't know. What are the energies Ama, Ora, Ogodokomosu, and more? Hold on, 2 years doubling. Yes, you got it. All smiles B. That's a heavy question for the for us wrapping up, isn't it? It's a heavy question this late in the game, don't you think? The spirit that animates me through these things is kind of leaving me. I'm getting kind of I don't even want to call it tired. Just like I'm about to start ranting about some BS that doesn't even matter. But where are we at? Okay, on my aura is the singularity, right? So on my aura is the previous phase of the universe. Everything was one, right? Just like the same thing you were one with Chuku. And then there's a separation, which is the phase we're in now. But prior is Alma. Ogodo Komosu is the cloth of Komosu. So Komosu, when that separation happened, it was man, woman, chi, eke, male, female, right? The female element exploded. And that explosion is also more separation. So it starts as one, separates again, separates again, separates again, very fast. So explosion, right? And that explosion was covered with a cloth known as Ogodokomosu, a burial shroud. And that burial shroud is where we exist. It is the plane of existence, as they say in the West. The fabric of existence, as they say in the West. Okay? It's the fabric of existence, Ogodokomosu. If you guys want a video on the Ogodokomosu, comment on one of the older videos. I want to see a video on Ogodokomosu, and then we'll do that, okay? And then more is spirit, is more is essence, more. Some say that Ogodokomosu is more. So, but that's some people's theory. All right. A bit more. Sima. Sima must be late over there. One day. Keduki ide. Adumma one day. Keduki ide. Keduki ide. Later, thank you. No, it's all good, Brandon. I appreciate it. Thank you for your teachings. Very interesting. Udoka, yeah, very, very nice seeing you guys all here. Thank you guys for being here. The fact that there's over 30 of you this late in the game, it says a lot. So, anyways, guys, we're starting our traditional medicine class very soon, March 24th. The first class we had, I said, I'm going to just let everybody sign up. We had over 20, damn near 30 people in there and the class ran very smoothly, but me on the back end, I was dealing with a lot of drama. So I said, nah, we gotta be strict. So we keep it at 12 people, and I think we've got about two-ish seats left right now. If you're interested in me reserving a seat, just message me. I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, sign up at www.kedu.me. If you're at the highest patron level as the Izumezu, then you can come into the class for free. How much are the class? Class is $346 for 3 months. If you are an Izumezu patron, which is $90 a month, then the class you can walk into the class at no additional cost. Okay, so the Izumezu kind of works as a payment plan for the classes. That being said, guys, unu ga-adị unu ga-eto nke ọbụla unu tiri aka ọ ga-adị n'ụwa ọ ga-adị otu a na-eke n'orie na afọ na nkwọ ise adịmma. Yeah, it's late. I'm about to catch everyone. No problem, Siba. Good seeing you, my man. Take care.